Alrighty, today we're covering a hot button topic, one that some might say is you can't talk about that, or that's not what it should be about. How dare you have those goals? In my view, anyone I'm working with, your goals are your goals. So, one request I get from a lot of people is, Mike, I want to look like I actually work out. How dare they? How dare they care about their looks? It's not shallow. It's not conceited. It is their goal. And frankly, it's a visible byproduct of discipline. So, the problem lies in most people are chasing it the wrong way. So, if you're, I go to the gym all the time. Okay, well, what plan are you following? Well, I'm not really following a plan. I eat healthy all the time. Okay, what are you eating? Well, I just try to eat healthy. There's got to be structure, and people don't like hearing that. Now let's start with a big reality check before we even dive into what you actually have to do. People often are comparing themselves to, dare I say, unrealistic ideals. And no, I'm not telling you to not shoot for the stars or it's impossible. But, whether it's a busy mom that's working her butt off, multiple kids, comparing herself to some 22-year-old that's living at the gym 7 days a week. And no offense to the 22-year-old living at the gym 7 days a week. I was once there myself. Or just genetic outliers. Or, dare I say, people that are using performance-enhancing drugs. And we're not just talking about the big, walking clouds on steroids. A lot more people, men and women, than you think are using performance-enhancing drugs. Even small doses to get a certain look, to get a certain edge. And this is not often talked about, but well known within the industry. And look, that's fine. That's their choice. But your life is different. You're busy. You're stressed. Your time actually is limited. I used to say as a young 20-something-year-old naive trainer, you just got to want it more. You just got to commit more time. Well, now, my views on that have changed a little bit. And people don't have unlimited time. But that being said, there are things we can do. So, what does looking like I work out actually mean? Overall, it means you have some visible muscle tone. Usually that's going to be like shoulders, arms, upper back. Those are kind of the areas that people are going to see skin most often, right? But then also too, summer we're wearing shorts. You want your legs to look a certain way. They want to be muscular, toned, have a little bit of definition. So visible muscle, but also having lower body fat percentage. That's just a fact. We're not talking here about being shredded, visible striations and veins on veins on veins. But you have to be a certain level of leanness. And last one too is posture. How do you carry yourself? Do you look confident? Do you stand tall? Are your shoulders back? Do you look like an athlete? So it's not about being huge and ripped and jacked, but having enough muscle and having enough or low enough body fat that you look a certain way. So when we dive into how to do this, there's kind of three big levers. Number one, nutrition. Protein matters daily, not occasionally. Calorie awareness matters every day, 24/7, not just Monday through Thursday. And yes, that means weekends do count. Your physique, I say this all the time, your physique is a direct representation of your overall average choices. not just the choices you made for 3 days when you were highly motivated and you went on some weird, crazy low calorie diet and lost 4 pounds in 3 days. Your physique is a direct representation overall average of everything you've done up until this point. So, that also being said, if you are in your 40s or 50s and you expect your physique to drastically change in 8 weeks, I'm sorry. It's not going to, you can change. It can change for sure, but it's not going to drastically change. 8 weeks is such a small piece of that timeline if you are 50 years old. So, what are our action steps for nutrition? And yes, this could be a 5-hour talk, but do you have protein, purposeful protein at every single meal? And when I go over these, this is what I want you to do. Think of it as you're making a checklist. And as I say these, are you able to, with 100% certainty, honesty, check these boxes? Because this will get you 90% the way there. Am I focused on a lean quality protein at every single meal? Do I have a relatively repeatable breakfast and lunch? This is something I work on with all my clients. This doesn't mean you have to eat the same thing for breakfast and lunch every day. However, usually the more we can control, and there's studies showing this, the more we can control consistently, the more it's going to be easy to dial things in, right? So one method I work on with clients is, okay, you have your base breakfast, right? Maybe it's 2 eggs, a cup of egg whites, and a 3/4 cup of dry oats. That's your base. Then within that, we can play with different switches and variables that don't move the calorie needle too much. So no, you don't have to eat plain oats and plain eggs. But maybe one day the oats have blueberries in them, and maybe one day they have strawberries in them, and maybe one day they have a banana in them. Maybe we put cinnamon in them one day and a little bit of honey one day, or we put some mixed nuts in them. Yes, these things add calories, but you can make those boring plain oats taste way different. You can change the texture. Same with the eggs. Maybe one day we've got peppers and onions in them. One day we've got peppers, onions, and ham. Maybe one day we've got leftover steak and mushrooms in them. Whatever it might be, you can play with so many variables within that base meal that it's easy to repeat. It's easy to keep within the same calorie window. So then we get to dinner, and because that's often where it's like, I can do good for breakfast, I can do good for lunch. Okay, so let's knock those out of the park, and then we got to work with dinner, right? And it's crush that first half of the day and then make dinner fit. Number 2, big lever. This should be obvious. Training. If you want to look like you have to work, if you want to look like you work out, you have to work out. Shocker. 3 to 4 lifting sessions per week is what it's going to take to really get that physique. Yes, you can have a great physique 2 days a week, but you want to make sure you're getting enough volume on, especially those muscle groups that we want to pop a little bit more. So full body, make sure we're hitting the pushing muscles, the pulling muscles, the lower body, but also tracking progression. And frankly, you don't need new fancy exercises. You just need to get better at the ones that you already do. Track and manage 3 to 5 main lifts. You don't even have to track your entire workouts, but have those big lifts tracked so okay, if I'm deadlifting, if I'm squatting, if I'm doing a press, if I'm doing a pull, how much weight, how many reps, what am I able to do? And then, maybe sprinkle in some arm work, some direct shoulder work, and that's just more burn them out. Don't focus on tracking them as much. But again, at the end of the day, the more tracking, the more progression you actually manage, the better your results are going to be. So I'm always going to be a fan of more tracking. So focus on progressive overload, and please, for the love of God, stop changing programs every other week, right? You can stick with the same program and manipulate the sets and reps for so long. And again, I get it. There's a mental aspect where it's like, man, I'm bored of the same workout on Monday. And that's why honestly, for most of my clients, we're changing the program up a little bit every 4 weeks. New phase, some new workouts. But big thing is, if someone's still progressing in a lift, I don't want to take it out of their program. Like if they're still hitting PRs, if they're just getting in their groove at week 4, why would we take it out? And again, this is that mental shift, this different approach where it's like you're not seeking novelty and entertainment from your workout. The outcome is what you're seeking. It's not the in the moment entertainment. So remember that. And lastly, third big lever is your lifestyle. Sleep. I always say this, it is the least sexy but free supplement that impacts your hunger the next day, your recovery, your consistency, your fat loss, your muscle. If that was all in a pill and you could take it, I know you would take it. So why do we not focus on getting quality sleep and daily movement? That matters. So get your quality sleep. Prioritize it. And that is I will do a whole talk on just sleep. But a lot of times you're not hungry at night. You're just tired. Go to bed. You don't need to see who's on late night tonight. You don't need to see it live. If you really care about it that much, watch it the next day. You can watch everything. These days you can record it. You can watch it on demand. You don't need to stay up. Go to bed. Because looking like you work out is actually a 24-hour job. It's not just that 45-minute workout that you crushed at the gym. It's what you do all day, every day. So your daily movement, 7,000 to 10,000 steps. Again, go back to that checklist. Am I doing that? You can even get this in 10-minute, 15-minute walks after meals. It adds up. Create a simple nighttime routine that you stick to. Do you actually do that? Do you stay consistent 7 days a week? And yes, occasionally we break these rules, right? We got something that comes up. We want to stay up late and we pay the price for it the next day. But if it's a weekend, are you getting up at the same time? Are you trying to go to bed roughly around the same time? Because a lot of people burn it down over the weekends and then they start the week behind. Common mistakes that I see all the time. Going all in and then just giving up. High motivation. It's there, but then this is too hard. And then they just quit. And oftentimes it's they had unrealistic expectations. It wasn't moving fast enough. Here's a tip, it never does. So I want you to go all in, but I want you to be committed. I want you to be consistent. People keeping their protein too low. No, you don't need to eat a gram per pound of body weight. I know, that's crazy, right? But you probably need to eat more. Because I hear this where people in mainstream media, dietitians, are still saying, oh, the average American gets too much protein. It's because they're basing that on an old recommendation. And they're getting enough protein to minimize or prevent muscle wasting, which I think we all want. But anybody who's getting an appropriate level of protein for optimal health, looking like they work out, they always tell me, man, I have to be purposeful about this. I have to think about this. And I say, yeah, it doesn't happen by accident. For your workouts, you're chasing soreness instead of progress. You're looking to be winded and gassed and, oh, I burned 800 calories. But are you progressing? Are you ever actually building muscle? And then again, last one is just expecting things to happen too fast. You don't look like you work out because your habits don't look like someone who works out. That's the big picture. You expect greatness. You expect this. You expect this, that, and the other to happen so quick. But are you actually doing the daily, repeatable actions that are going to get you where you want to get? So I'm going to leave you with this. It's all about consistency within these things. Consistency over everything. So if you made that checklist of all the things to do, and I'll run through that one more time, are you consistent with that? That's what matters. It's not about checking one of those boxes every day. It's not about checking all of those boxes 5 days a week. It's about checking all those boxes damn near every day. So what are those boxes again? Eat protein at every meal. Have a repeatable breakfast and lunch. Win the first half of the day instead of trying to fix everything at dinner. Track 3 to 5 main lifts. Try to improve something every single week. Weight, reps, control, quality, time to finish. Stop jumping programs every couple weeks. Lifestyle goals. Aim for 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day. Take little walks after meals. Create a simple nighttime routine you actually stick to. And yes, we'll throw in the 7 to 9 quality hours of sleep every single night. So you want to look like you actually work out? Lay out that checklist. See how you're doing. And as always, if you need help on one or all of those things, you know where to find me.